Hello, welcome to LGV Trainers. I'm going to be taking you through your CPC Module 4 practical demonstration. Okay, during your practical demonstration, okay, the test will last approximately about 30 minutes. Okay, there are 5 subject areas. Okay, you will be asked 1 question from each subject area. Okay, you need to score 80% overall. Okay, but you're not allowed to score below 75% in each question. Okay, that means that one of the questions you're going to need to score 100%. Okay, so the next 2 questions then are worded differently but have exactly the same answer. Okay, they're about checking the maximum authorized mass of this vehicle, okay, your MAM, and also making sure that your vehicle is not overloaded. So just in here then is your ministry plate. Okay, this is checking your maximum authorized mass of the vehicle. Okay, so on here you've got your gross weight. Okay, that is also known as your maximum authorized mass. Okay, so with your ministry plate then, okay, you can correlate that to your paperwork, okay, to make sure that you know that you're definitely not overloaded. Okay, so the first thing we're going to check then, okay, is bulging around the tyre. Okay, and then we're going to check to make sure the mud guard is not touching the tyre, okay, and the spray suppression is not on the floor. Okay, the next check we're going to carry out, okay, is make sure that the vehicle, the tyres are not touching each other. Okay, and then obviously we're going to take a step back, bend down, and make sure that your suspension is smiling. Okay, so now what I'm checking is, I'm checking to make sure that the vehicle is not leaning to one side, maybe it's overloaded on one of the axles. Okay, so you've done all your checks, okay, and you're still not satisfied that this vehicle is not overloaded. Okay, what you're going to do next, okay, is you're going to take it to the nearest weigh bridge, okay, and get it weighed, and then you can be happy that you're not overloaded. Okay, so moving on then, okay, we're still in section 1 of loading the vehicle. Okay, you're going to, there's 2 possible questions here, okay, about load restraints. Okay, we're going to go through them both now. Okay, the first one being the chain and the tensioner. Okay, and what we're going to do, what this secures is things like heavy plant, steel plates, and things like that. Okay, so you're going to okay, once you've secured the tensioner, okay, all you're going to do is ratchet it up and try and make the chain as tight as possible. Okay, so now the chain's nice and tight, okay, and then it's about releasing the tension from the chain as well. So we're just going to push the clip back through and start ratcheting it again, and then it will loosen it off. Okay, so that is how you secure and unsecure using the chain and the chain tensioner. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the other restraining device. Okay, and this is a tension bar. Okay, you can use these horizontally or vertically on the vehicle, and a good example to use these are obviously roller cages. Okay, so now I'm going to use the tension bar on the demonstration trolley to give you an example of how to use it. Okay, so now I'm going to go through tightening the tension bar. Okay, so as you're pushing it down, okay, make sure it's nice and tight. It's going to get really stiff, so make sure you put a bit of your weight behind it and push it in and lock it off. Okay, so make sure that the bar is nice and tight. Okay, so releasing it then, okay, just pull the catch back, make sure your weight's on it, pull the catch back, okay, and just loosen the bar. Okay, and then you can bring it down and take the bar off. So remember guys, when we're loading the vehicle, okay, always load the vehicle according to the weight. Okay, so if they're nice and light, like roller cages, okay, we're going to place them up against the headboard and secure them safely with a tension bar. Okay, so we're always going to try and place the load up to the headboard if possible. However, if you get a real heavy load, like steel plates or something, okay, you're going to distribute the load evenly between the 2 axles. Okay, and because they are steel, okay, you're going to secure them with your chain and your chain tensioner. And obviously, when you're loading these plates, okay, make sure the heavy ones are on the bottom and the lighter ones are to the top. Okay, so we're still in section 1 then. Okay, another question that you might possibly be asked, okay, is obviously you're going on a long journey, okay, maybe beyond the fuel range of this vehicle. Okay, so there's a couple of checks that you can carry out. Okay, so inside the cab, obviously you can switch your ignition on, okay, and we're just going to check the fuel and we're going to check the AdBlue level, okay, to make sure we have enough for the first part of our journey. So now we're going to go through the checks you've got to do outside the vehicle. Okay, so we're going to come around here to the fuel tank and the AdBlue tank. Okay, we're just going to do a couple of checks on these. Okay, obviously what you're checking is making sure the caps are on properly. Okay, you're going to check the brackets to hold the tank up. Okay, you're going to make sure that there's no leaks underneath, no corrosion, and make sure that they're nice and secure. Okay, you're going to do the same to the fuel tank. Okay, to make sure the cap's on properly, checking all the brackets that are on there. Okay, and making sure that there's no leaks underneath. Okay, so remember guys, remember the question, okay, you're going beyond the fuel range of this vehicle, okay, so make sure on your journey you've got means to pay, okay, so we've got some fuel cards or we've used some cash to pay for some extra fuel. So that's the end of section 1. We're going to move on to section 2, which is security of the vehicle and its contents. Okay, so the scenario on this one, okay, there's 3 questions to it. Okay, you're driving a high-sided vehicle on an unfamiliar route. Okay, we're going to go through now some of the things that you can check to make sure, obviously, the security of the vehicle. Okay, so the first thing we want to check, okay, obviously because we're driving a high-sided vehicle, okay, we want to check the height indicator. Obviously we want to make sure that we definitely know the height of our vehicle. Okay, if we're unsure of the height of our vehicle, okay, we can always measure it, but remember to measure the highest point, whether that is the load or the vehicle itself. Another good thing to tell the examiner is obviously you're going to plan your route in advance. Okay, obviously avoiding low bridges and making sure we're using a map or sat nav to help us with that. Okay then, so obviously if you are on the road and you are unfortunate enough to strike a bridge, okay, there's certain steps that we've got to take. Okay, obviously firstly, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call the rail authorities. Okay, and on the bridge ID plate, okay, we'll have a location number. Okay, you need to give them that location number so then they can divert the trains as soon as possible, and then we're going to call the police. Okay then, so another question that you can have on section 2 then is all about your daily vehicle checks. Okay, I'm going to go through the daily vehicle checks with you now. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get into a comfortable driving position. Okay, make sure that you're nice and comfortable. You spend a lot of time behind the wheel. Okay, so once I've got myself comfortable, I'm going to check my seatbelt. Make sure that I'm still now nice and comfortable, okay, and I'm going to check the seatbelt. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch the ignition on. Okay, I'm just going to let it fire up, okay, and I'm going to check for any warning lights, okay, any warning sounds that come on the dashboard. Okay, I'm going to check my fuel, I'm going to check my AdBlue, yeah, and I'm going to check my air gauges. Okay, also whilst I'm inside the cab, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to check my vehicle height marker, make sure that that's there, okay, and obviously checking my ministry plate as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, and obviously you down here you've got your demisters. Okay, if you need to demist your vehicle at all, you can switch them on. Okay, yeah, so what I'm going to go through now, yeah, is my horn. Okay, I'm going to check my horn. My horn works. Okay, I'm going to check my wipers and my washers. Okay, yeah, so I'm happy that they work. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch the engine on, and what I'm going to be looking out for is obviously I'm going to be checking both my mirrors for any excessive smoke that comes out of the exhaust. Okay, so obviously I'm just going to put my foot down on the accelerator a little bit, see if there's any excessive smoke, checking my mirrors. Yeah, so now I'm happy that there's no excessive smoke. Okay, so what I'm going to go through now is obviously I'm going to put my seatbelt back on, and I'm just going to check the brakes of the vehicle. Okay, so to start with, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and pull away with the handbrake on. Okay, so it's not going anywhere. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the parking brake, okay, and just check my foot brakes. Okay, so I'm going to put it into first gear, I'm going to check my mirrors, I'm going to check my blind spot, and I'm going to pull away gently. And I'm just going to put my foot on the brake, come to a steady stop. Okay, handbrake on, take it out of gear. Okay, so now I know that my brakes are working. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to do the checks on the outside of the vehicle. Okay, so I'm going to put my lights on. Yeah, I'm going to make sure my full beam's on, my fog light, and my hazard lights. Okay, and then obviously we're going to exit the vehicle. Make sure we're using 3 points of contact at all time whilst exiting the vehicle. Okay, so the first check I'm going to do then is, okay, I'm going to check my mirrors. Make sure they are nice and secure. Yeah, and while I'm here, okay, I'm going to check for any damage. Yeah, I'm going to check any damage in and around the steps. Yeah, making sure that there's no damage in and around there. Okay, and obviously I'm going to come around to the front of the vehicle. I'm going to just check my lights. Okay, so I can check my indicator light there and there. Both of them are working. I can check my lights are working. Okay, my marker lights as well. Yeah, I'm checking my wind deflector. Yeah, checking my lights this side, making sure my number plate's in place. And obviously inside the cab, we check to make sure our washers worked. Okay, so now we're just going to check the wipers as well. Make sure there's no debris on the wipers and make sure they're fit for purpose. Okay then, so obviously at the front of the vehicle, okay, I'm just going to check the grille, make sure there's no damage in and around that. Yeah, I'm just going to pull the bonnet up. Okay, remember that it could be quite hot, so obviously just point to it and explain. Okay, so obviously my coolant levels, I'm going to make sure they're between the minimum and the maximum levels. Okay, I'm going to check my screen wash. Yeah, make sure that there's plenty of screen wash for my journey. Okay, and obviously my engine oil filler cap is there in case I need to top up the oil. But here is your dipstick. Okay, obviously again, you're going to pull it out, wipe it, put it back in, and then make sure that it's between the minimum and maximum again. And obviously we're going to check the brake fluid levels. Okay, so on here you've got the minimum and maximum again. Okay, and obviously you want to check the compressor to make sure that there is no air leaks. So obviously moving around the vehicle again, obviously the opposite side, you're going to make the checks, make sure there's no damage in and around the steps. Okay, you want to make sure your wing mirrors are nice and secure, yeah? Make sure there's no damage on them. Checking the glass, make sure there's no cracks on the glass. Okay, and then I'm going to move around to my tyre. Okay, I'm going to go down. Okay, I'm going to check the tread on my tyre. I want to make sure that there is 1 millimetre across 3/4 of the tyre around the whole circumference of the tyre. I'm going to check my tyre wall for any damage, any bulges, any tears, any cuts, or any cord that might be showing. Okay, and I'm just going to have a visual check of my wheel nuts to make sure that the thread is all about the same, so then you know that they're all about the same tightness. Okay, and obviously checking my indicator. Okay, moving round, I'm going to check my side rail, make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, I'm checking my marker lights. Okay, again, my AdBlue, making sure that the cap's on properly, make sure there's no leaks, make sure it's fitted securely. Okay, same again with the fuel tank, make sure your cap's on properly. Make sure there's no any visual signs of any leaks. Make sure it is on securely. Okay, and then I'm just going to do the overall check to make sure that there's no damage to the side of my vehicle. Okay, so moving down here, again, obviously checking my marker light again. I'm going to check my mud guard, make sure it's nice and secure. I'm going to check my spray suppression, make sure this is nice and secure. Again, I'm doing a visual tyre check, make sure that there's 1 millimetre across 3/4 of the tyre around the whole circumference of the tyre. Checking my tyre wall for any damage, any tears, cuts, bulges or any cord. Again, and just checking my wheel nuts to make sure they are nice and secure. Okay, and obviously with this vehicle as well, okay, you've got twin axle, so again you want to get down and check the other tyre. Okay, and you want to make sure the tyres are not touching. Okay, so moving down the vehicle, obviously checking my marker lights. Okay, so moving to the rear of the vehicle then, okay, obviously start at the top, checking my marker lights, make sure my marker lights work, make sure there's no damage to the back of the door. Okay, and again, check my number plate, make sure my number plate's in position and secure. My indicators, okay, I've got my fog lights on, got my side lights on. Okay, and what I want to do is just make sure that my number plate light works. Yep. Okay, and at this point obviously you can ask the examiner to help you check your brake lights. Okay, so moving around the vehicle again, checking my marker lights, okay, checking the damage, make sure there's no damage to the side of my vehicle. Again, checking your mud guards, checking your spray suppression, make sure they're nice and secure. Another visual check of your tyres, make sure there's no bulges, any tears, cuts, cord, or any damage to your tyres. And obviously the thread, which is 1 mil across 3/4 of the tyre, around the whole circumference of the tyre. Okay, again, check my side rail, make sure it is nice and secure. Okay, checking my marker light again, and then got my battery cover. Make sure your battery cover is on, nice and secure. Make sure it's not going to fly off down the road. And then just make sure that you check the exhaust. Again, got my indicator, checking my tyre again, make sure there's 1 mil across 3/4 of the tyre, around the whole circumference of the tyre. Checking your tyre, make sure there's no bulging, any tears, cuts, cord. Okay, and then obviously up here, okay, we're checking the vehicle dimensions. Okay, so we've got the length, the height, and the width of the vehicle. Okay, so that should cover your daily walk around check. Okay then, so moving on then to the next scenario. Okay, you need to leave your vehicle overnight, okay, or a length of time during the day. Okay, so upon obviously leaving your vehicle, where might you consider parking it? Okay, so obviously we've got things like a secure and well-lit lorry park. Okay, making sure that obviously no one can get into the back of the vehicle. What we will do is we will reverse it up against another vehicle or up against a wall or a fence or anything like that, so no one can gain access to the back of the vehicle. So obviously, as you can see, that we've got a box vehicle. Okay, but if you have a curtain side vehicle, okay, you would make sure that you have a TIR, or what they know as a tilt cord. Okay, you're going to place it through the buckles and make sure as it joins around the back, you're going to make sure it's padlocked and nice and secure so no one can gain access to the vehicle. Okay, so inside the vehicle then, okay, so some vehicles will have a hatch. You want to make sure that that's nice, that's closed and nice and secure. Okay, and obviously while we're inside the vehicle, what we're going to do is we're going to do the windows up, make sure all the windows are done up. Okay, and obviously some vehicles have a tail lift as well. So what we want to make sure, okay, is we want to make sure that the tail lift is switched off, so then no one can gain access and use the tail lift. Okay, so what we're going to do then, obviously, make sure obviously the ignition's off, and we're going to step outside the vehicle and make sure that all the doors are all locked. Again, so we're just going to lock the door, make sure the vehicle is locked. Okay, making sure the vehicle is locked. Okay, so at this point, okay, so if you've got any alarms or any immobilizers on the vehicle, okay, you'd make sure that they're on at this point. Okay then, so that's section 2 covered. Okay, so section 3, okay, is preventing criminality and trafficking of illegal immigrants. Okay, so the 3 scenarios all have the same answer. Okay, so whatever question you're asked in this scenario, okay, it all has the same answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the answers with you. Okay, and so obviously one of the first things we're going to do, okay, is inside the cab checks. Okay, make sure that there's no contraband or anything like that inside. Okay, so we want to check to make sure that there's nothing in there. Okay, so obviously I can pull the seat forward, have a check down behind the seats. Okay, so while I'm in here, okay, I'm going to get in the vehicle. I'm going to check under my sun visors, make sure that there's nothing been placed in there. Okay, I'm going to check the overhead compartments. Okay, make sure that nothing's in there. Any little cubby holes that you get, make sure you're checking in and around everywhere. Okay, so obviously now I'm going to go outside the vehicle. I'm going to go and check the other side. So now I'm going to check inside the passenger door pocket. Okay, I'm going to check in and around behind it. Okay, obviously one of the main answers that they're looking for on this one is checking underneath the seat. Make sure you lift the seat up and you check underneath. Okay, so that's covered the inside of the cab then. So at this point then what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to take the keys with me, okay, and I'm just going to switch on my tail lift. Okay, so my tail lift is on. Okay, and I'm going to pocket the keys. Okay, so now I'm going to start my checks on the outside of the vehicle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend down here, get in and around the wheel arches, okay? Get your head right in, have a good look to make sure things could be stuck underneath, okay? Yeah, get in, have a look, okay? So anywhere where things could be placed or hidden, okay, you just want to have a check. Make sure that the back of your wing mirrors haven't been tampered with either, okay? They're obviously stuck to inside the door, in and around underneath the step. Okay, so I'm going to move round then, okay, and obviously under here, so I'm just going to pull my bonnet up, okay. The examiner will tell you not to touch anything anyway, okay, so all you're going to do now is you're going to point to things, okay, so you're going to point to anywhere where things could be placed, okay, so you've got your holes inside here, in and around everywhere you want to check, okay, inside here, down here, inside here, get in, again, have a good look, make sure that you can see everywhere as much as you can. Okay, get down, have a good old look around the side, the front of the vehicle. Okay, and when you're happy that you've checked everywhere, okay, you just want to shut your bonnet up, okay, and then you want to move around the vehicle. Again, make sure that your wing mirror covers haven't been tampered with. Checking and around everywhere, making sure, get down again, have a good look under your wheel arch. Okay, good. Okay, and then obviously you want to step back between the cab and the body of the vehicle. Yeah, things could be placed in there, people could be in there, okay? And then check, one of the other main answers is checking in the wind deflector. Yeah, so want to make sure, obviously people could be lying up there, you want to make sure that you're not getting fined. Okay, so moving down the side of the vehicle. Okay, you want to get down low, okay? Have a look across the length of the vehicle, make sure that there's nothing in there or no one. Again, okay, so once you're satisfied with that, okay, the reason why we've got the keys is we're going to open the fuel tank. And what we're checking for inside the fuel tank, okay, make sure that there's no fishing wire been placed inside it. Once you're happy, you can close it up. And make sure you lock it back up after you. Obviously we will do the same with the AdBlue tank. Make sure that there's no fishing wire anywhere. Nothing placed inside your fuel or your AdBlue tanks. Okay then, so obviously if you want to check to make sure that there's nothing on top, obviously you can get some steps, climb up the steps and have a look. Okay, but we will show you another way of doing that. Okay, again, looking down the side of the vehicle, making sure there's nothing been placed in there or no one's hiding up there. Okay, again, in and around your wheel arches, make sure there's nothing in there. Okay, so moving round to the back of the vehicle then. Okay, one of the first things we're going to do is get down and have a look down the length of the vehicle. Yep, happy with that. And again, while we switch the tail lift on, so in order to complete this section, obviously we've got to open the back of the door and look inside the box. Okay, so upon opening the back of the box then, okay, we're going to be looking out for a couple of things. Okay, obviously we want to make sure that our load has not been disturbed. Okay, if we've got any compartments in the back of this vehicle, okay, we want to go in and make sure that we check those compartments. Okay, also we want to look up to the roof, okay, because you can see through the roof. We want to make sure no one's lying on top of the vehicle. Okay, and obviously someone's been in there for a couple of days, okay, it can get quite smelly, okay, and obviously you'd be able to hear people in the back of the vehicle. Okay, and obviously you want to be able to look. Okay, so once you're happy with the checks you've done inside the vehicle, okay, we're just going to raise the tail lift back up. Okay, so obviously this side of the vehicle we're going to do exactly the same checks that we've done the other side of the vehicle, okay? So making sure we're looking all the way under the vehicle, in and around your wheel arches, again, getting down, having a look across the length of the vehicle, okay? Obviously here, we've got our battery compartment box, okay? So what we're going to do is we will check inside this, okay? And obviously we've got our air filter as well, so we would unclip the air filter and check inside the air filter. Okay, obviously, so once we've checked our air filter, okay, we'll check between the body and cab this side, yeah, and checking our wind deflector again from this angle. Okay, if you're struggling to see, what you can do is get yourself a mirror on a stick and get up there, have a look, or technology, phone and a selfie stick. Okay, get up there and have a look. Okay, and so section 4 is all about assessing emergency situations. Okay, so the first scenario, okay, you're driving down the motorway, okay, and all of a sudden you see flames appearing. You suspect it may be an electrical wiring fire. Okay, so obviously we've got to deal with that. Okay, so the answers that we're looking for on this one, okay, is obviously we're going to pull over as quickly and as safely as possible to the hard shoulder. Okay, we're going to place our parking brake on. Okay, we're going to select neutral. Okay, and then we're going to switch the engine off. Okay, obviously by switching the engine off, we're cutting all power to the supply. Okay, and then we're going to take the keys out of the ignition. We're going to pocket them keys. Okay, and we're going to exit the vehicle via the near side if possible. Okay, upon exiting the vehicle via the near side, okay, we're going to head to the nearest SOS phone and call the emergency services. Okay, so as you've got out the vehicle then, as you suspected, okay, it's a small electrical wiring fire. Okay, so you can tackle the blaze yourself. Okay, so what fire extinguishers are you going to use on this electrical wiring fire? Okay, the answer to that question, okay, is you're going to use dry powder or you're going to use CO2. Okay, this is still in section 4. Okay, the next scenario, okay, you suspect a brake fault on this vehicle. Okay, there's a couple of checks we can carry out. Okay, the first one being obviously is checking the compressor works properly. Okay, in order to do this, okay, we need to switch the ignition on. Okay, and we just need to pump. Obviously we've got the air gauge here. Okay, we want to pump the brakes. Okay, just until the alarm sounds. Okay, so now obviously we've dumped all the air out the truck. Okay, what we want to do is we want to build the air back up to make sure that the compressor's holding. Okay, so what we're going to do now is once the air is built back up. Okay, so obviously once the air was built back up, okay, we're just going to switch the ignition back on. Okay, we're going to check our air gauge again and make sure that the air is held. Okay, and what we're going to do after that is just place our foot on the foot brake and hold it. Okay, hold your foot on the foot brake, okay, to make sure that the air is not leaking out of the compressor. Okay, so we're going to get outside the vehicle and we're going to just listen for any air leaks around the truck. Okay, so that's the end of section 4. Okay, we're going to move on to section 5, which is preventing physical risk. Okay, then so section 5 is the ability to prevent physical risk. Okay, it's basically just your daily walk around checks. Okay, obviously which we covered earlier on in the video. Okay, but for this section, okay, you get a crib sheet. Okay, and on this sheet, okay, has all the answers that you've got to do. Okay, so obviously you'll go through your lights, your tyres and your mirrors, etc. Okay, but you get to use this for this answer. Okay, so that's the end of the CPC Module 4. Thank you for watching.